Welcome back to Hudson Valley Week in Review. I'm Amy Greene. We continue tonight in Kingston, where Senator Charles Schumer is seeking a federal audit on a train bridge over the Rondout Creek that shows significant signs of deterioration. According to Schumer, there are only 7 inspectors who are available to audit thousands of privately owned train bridges across the country, and only one of them covers the 3,000 structures in New York alone, plus bridges in 13 other states. Senator Schumer, along with Ulster County Executive Michael Hind and Riverkeeper boat captain John Lipscomb, recently held a press conference on this very issue at the location of the decaying Rondout Creek Bridge in Kingston.
While all of these bridges have withstood the test of time thus far, they may not have been designed to hold the frequency and weight of the shipments they carry each day as freight trains travel across the state and region. The number of freight trains has increased, and even worse, obviously the danger of the freight trains has increased as we now are transporting hundreds of DOT 111 cars filled with crude oil, Bakken crude oil, which is very volatile and very flammable. So the bridges are deteriorating, and they're deteriorating fast. And one, particularly here in Ulster County, has deteriorated to the point that it would send shivers down your spine. That's the bridge we're standing in front of today. Look at the underside of the bridge. As you can see, it's in bad shape. The concrete foundation has deteriorated. There are cracks and exposed rebar. The bolts that held it together are loose or missing. And in any circumstance where the concrete foundation is chipped away or bolts have become loose, this is not any old bridge. The bridge runs right over the Rondout Creek. It's a major recreation and tourist destination for residents and visitors alike. It's also right in the middle of the exciting waterfront development going on here in the city of Kingston. Just imagine if the wear and tear on this bridge eventually catches up to us. And so here's the catch. Guess whose job it is to inspect rail bridges and ensure that they're structurally sound? The private rail companies who own the bridges. In this case, CSX. So there are roughly 3,000 train bridges across New York that are privately owned. They're operated by companies like CSX, Norfolk Southern, Canadian Pacific. And because they're privately owned, they may not be getting the attention and focus they need. Now, in the state of New York, if it's a publicly owned rail bridge, it has to be inspected every year, and DOT does it, the state DOT. So the public ones are in good shape. But privately owned train bridges are not held to the same standard. Private train company bridges are required by the federal government to be inspected by the rail yard once a year. And it's important to keep in mind that many of these owners are saddled with the cost of maintenance if they deem the bridge unsafe. So they have a financial incentive to find the bridge safe. And that's why we need more federal inspectors looking over their shoulders. We're asking the FRA to get an inspector here right away to look at this bridge train in Kingston. Because of all the bridges in the Hudson Valley, this is one of 2 or 3 that we find to be in the worst shape, that is the most traveled. So we need an inspection right away. Second, we're asking that the number of federal bridge inspectors be increased. If we added $1 million to the budget, we double the number. Now we need more than that, but it shows you in a huge federal budget of trillions, a couple of $1 million to make sure these bridges are safe is not too much to ask. And that's what we're going to be pushing for. This rail bridge is too important. It's near some of the region's most important sites, the Hudson River, Rondout Creek, the towns all along the Hudson, to let them crumble any further.
We have an incredibly hard-working senator who understands the importance of this issue and the importance of being proactive. I think about this issue from the perspective of our ecology and what that really means from an environmental perspective. I think about what this means to people, the people of Ulster County. Look around you. Their homes. People live here. If this bridge in any way, shape, or form had a catastrophic failure, we're talking about the loss of human life and an absolute devastation to our ecology. To think about environmental damage on that scale in our community, it's inconceivable. All because of what? A failure to have proper inspections on an annual basis by an independent review. The failure to have a true structural engineer assessing whether or not the bridge is going to collapse. And when you think about what's crossing these tracks on an absolute, what have we been here, 10 minutes?
2 bridges.
2 trains, enormous amounts of material. The idea that there could be in some way, shape, or form, like I said, a tragedy like that in this community is inconceivable. We're very blessed to have a senator who understands the importance of this and is willing to take action.
The only way to completely protect the rivers is to not move the product. But until that happens, the only and the best thing that we can do is prevent an accident. And that's why this initiative is so important. We were tipped off by fishermen of the decaying bridges down at Storm King. We saw the rotting foundations on this bridge from our patrol boat. We're getting photos from the Mohawk River, Lake Champlain, other areas in the Hudson Valley. So this is a statewide issue that we face right now. Obviously, it's a national issue, but we're talking about New York State. What the crude oil transport has done is it's brought to light a lack of regulatory oversight on railroads in general, and too great an autonomy that the railroads enjoy. Do truckers get to inspect their own trucks? No. Do oil barge and oil terminal companies get to inspect their barges and tanks themselves? No. The Coast Guard does that. Do commercial aircraft owners get to inspect their own aircraft and sign them off? No. Do you get to inspect your own car? No. But the railroad companies get to inspect their own gear, and they get to decide that they're going to keep tank cars in place that for 2 decades have been found inadequate. We need the same kind of oversight that you have with your personal car and that we have on our highways with 18-wheelers. We need it with rail transport. We need independent, enforceable oversight immediately. Suspect rail infrastructure, like crumbling bridges, need to be immediately inspected by third-party engineers. Traffic must be rerouted around any compromised structures until repairs are made. Not another study, but rerouting the trains so that they are not on the bridges. Then there's no risk.
When we return, we take a look back at 2014 and a look ahead to 2015 with the Ulster County Executive. Stay with us.